I'm standing in a place where many men have fallen. That's not so surprising, really, because for about 50 years, this was the unofficial dueling range for Washington, D.C. What is surprising is the time on June 14, 1836, when nobody fell. This is a story of honor, jealousy, and revenge. But it's still useless history. American politics is ugly today, but in many ways it doesn't compare to the 19th century. In 1856, Congressman Preston Brooks beat Senator Charles Sumner until he was unconscious. In 1858, a full riot broke out on the floor of the House of Representatives, which ended only when somebody knocked off Congressman Barksdale's toupee. In 1836, 2 reporters were banned from the House galleries for pummeling each other with canes. But the most egregious offenses were usually resolved in places like this. For many men, insults could only be settled on the field of honor. President Andrew Jackson killed a man in a duel, as did Vice President Aaron Burr. Commodore Stephen Decatur was expected by many to be elected president, until he was shot right here, defending his honor. Today, this seems really dumb. Letting a man shoot you because he'll call you chicken if you don't. Actually, to a lot of people at the time, it seemed pretty dumb, too. In the spring of 1836, there were long and heated debates over the conditions under which Arkansas and Michigan would be admitted into the Union. The June 8th session ran 25 hours straight, with the sergeant-at-arms frequently having to wake members in order to ensure that there would be a quorum. One congressman who did not stay through the night was Representative Daniel Jennifer of Maryland. He arrived Thursday morning and launched into a long, rambling diatribe on the technicalities of the bill. Many of the men on the floor were tired and drunk, and when they didn't feel like listening anymore, they would shout or bang on the edges of their desks. Congressman Jennifer described these interruptions as most ungentlemanly. "Well, it's ungentlemanly of you to say that," shouted Congressman Jesse Benham of North Carolina. "You take that back," screamed Jennifer. "I won't take it back. I repeat it," Benham cried. Everyone knew that Benham and Jennifer despised each other. There was a brief exchange of notes, with the last one from Jennifer demanding satisfaction. By 1836, dueling was illegal in the District of Columbia, so many, if not most such contests were settled here in Bladensburg, Maryland, about 150 feet outside the District of Columbia. The most vocal opponent to dueling was District Attorney Francis Scott Key. Yes, that Francis Scott Key. Although Bladensburg was technically outside his jurisdiction, Key arranged for marshals to patrol the dueling grounds. This is why Benham and Jennifer met somewhere around here in Montgomery County in Maryland. Technically, it was outside the Capital Territory, which meant that while one of the men was likely to die, at least they could be confident that nobody would go to jail. When Congress assembled on the morning of June 14th, it was noted that Benham and Jennifer were missing, as were several other congressmen. Everyone knew what was going on. The Code Duello, or dueling code, spelled out very specific rules of combat. Having been challenged, Benham selected pistols, which were to be loaded by the seconds. Jennifer and Benham agreed to face off at a distance of 30 feet, which is essentially from here to here. This is very close range, and for even average marksmen, this would be deadly. The two agreed to face off at 6 a.m. When the referee counted to 3, both could fire. Both did. Both missed. Neither party was satisfied. There would be another round. The two congressmen again faced off at point-blank range. On the referee's signal, both fired again. When the smoke cleared, both men faced each other, completely unharmed. The seconds again reloaded the pistols, and the two men once again faced off. Both fired. Both missed. On the 5th volley, Benham's gun discharged at the count of 2. Under the rules of dueling, this meant his life was forfeit. Congressman Francis Pickens, one of Jennifer's seconds, took the gun, only to have Jennifer take it from his hands. The right to avenge the shot, he declared, was his. He took aim carefully at the now defenseless Benham. and he missed. They fired one more volley, and both shots missed. Now at this point, Mr. Andrews, a local farmer who had been watching, felt that this had really gone on quite long enough, and he invited both duelists to come in and join him for breakfast. They did. And from that day forward, these two men, who had hated each other for so long, continued to despise one another. Perhaps both men were really inept marksmen. Perhaps they were shaking so violently that neither could hold their guns steady. It's also possible that there was some sort of conspiracy involving the loading of the guns. But if so, all the participants kept that secret to their graves. A duel was all about settling matters of honor. But in this case, it's pretty obvious who the honorable ones were. But it is useless history. That's not funny.